Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. My salutations to Swami Vivekananda, who is the embodiment of existence, consciousness, and bliss, who is the best among the ascetics, who descended on this earth to redeem the sorrows of the human kingdom. Om, peace, peace, peace. Dear devotees, today we are again discussing one more new chapter, the part of Jnana Yoga. Swami Vivekananda, four yoga, Swami Vivekananda's four yoga, or Swami Vivekananda's lectures on four yoga is quite famous. Across the globe, people have read, are reading, and will be reading. And they have got inspired by the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. And they have inspired, they have got awakening for the divinity or to lead a spiritual life. And they have got a lot of answers for their spiritual and as well as philosophical queries. And the very interesting point is all these four yogas, which was taught by or which is taught by Swami Vivekananda in the West. And one of the yoga, which is Jnana Yoga, most of the lectures has been given by Swami Vivekananda in Europe, especially in London. So as we part of the Europe, we can all feel proud that Swami Vivekananda gave the lectures, Jnana Yoga lectures, in our continent and in our neighboring country. In the previous class, two classes, we saw the essence of Ishavasya Upanishad. Try to cover the entire world, entire universe, or the creation from the God, or from the Supreme Self, or from the divinity. So initially, it is a practice for us that seeing or seeking the God in every object, in every human being, in every animal, including ourselves. So initially, we are trying to see, we are trying to seek. Then, when we get advanced in our spiritual life, we will be able to see and experience the God in every being, in every creature, in every object of this universe. Now, Swamiji gave one more wonderful lecture, which is a part of Jnana Yoga. The chapter is named as Realization. And this is based on Katha Upanishad. Traditionally, we have accepted 108 Upanishads. Among them, there are 10 major Upanishads and 8 minor Upanishads. And among the 10 major Upanishads, Katha Upanishad is one among them. And Swami Vivekananda used to love Katha Upanishad. So Katha Upanishad was very dear to Swami Vivekananda's heart. And we will see some other time why it was so. And he gave this lecture on realization based on the Katha Upanishad in London on 29th October 1896. And before getting into the chapter, I would like to mention one or two points as a brief introduction. Now, at the broad canvas, keeping all the different schools of Vedanta or different schools of philosophy regarding the universe or the empirical world, we can classify into three categories or three angles or three groups. One group is God has created this world. The second is the world has been created, or whatever the world has been emerged, it is the part of the God. And the third is God has been expressed as this world. Now, if you see the Semitic religions, in Hinduism and Islam, and even in the dualistic schools of Vedanta, the God has created this universe. How? Because He is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. He has created the universe. God has created the universe. So God is separate, and the world is separate, and God has created this universe. And just if you go a bit advanced further, from the qualified monoism or Vishishtadvaita philosophy, a school of philosophy, Vedanta philosophy, the philosophy says that the God is the part of, the world is the part of the God. God has got two parts. One is Chit, one is Achit. Chit is like, we can say, consciousness. Achit, you can say, unconscious. So the whole world has been emerged from the Achit part of the God. This is the second important theory about the creation of the world or universe. Then the third is, as Upanishad says, Tat Sruštva Tadevanu Pravishat. God has projected the world, or God has created the world, and God has entered the world. God has entered the universe. Means the whole universe is nothing but God only. So these are the three different philosophies about the world, universe. And when it comes to self, it is also very interesting. Okay, God has created us, beings, animals, birds, reptiles, mammals, all of us. Basically, God has created the living beings and non living beings also, of course. So God is different and we are different. Again, this is seen very clearly in all the Semitic religions and dualistic schools of Vedanta. God has created us, God is separate, and we are separate. At the most, we can live in the heaven, or we can live in the God's place, which is called heaven, or which is above the sky, basically. And in some schools of philosophy, we are part of the God. Just like my hand is part of my body, my head is part of my body, my legs are part of my body. Similarly, I, or individual beings, or any living being, is part of the God. Then the third is, essentially, there is no difference between God and me. I and my Father are one. I and God both are one essentially. Now you see, when there is an evolution of the concept of self, there is an evolution of concept of God also. And there's evolution of concept of the world also, very interesting, very so much it is interlinked. Similarly, there is also evolution of concept of God also, which we have seen earlier very in detail. So God, as the moral governor of this universe, He has created the universe, He is maintaining this universe, and He is the reason for dissolving of the universe, and He is there above sky in some world, sitting on the throne, and is ruling us. This is what a basic idea about the God. Then you go a little bit further. God is the moral governor of the universe. He is a complete man. He is ethical. He is rightful. He is gracious. And he is all pervasive, we see. Then still you go further. There is no place where God doesn't exist. God exists everywhere. God is inside me, outside me. God is everywhere. It is not only in that particular world or particular place. So if you see all this, the threadbare between all these three concepts about the explanation of the world, or the theories of the world and its origin, and about the God and about the self, the central point is evolution of oneself. or evolution of the concept of oneself. The more and more I understand me better, then the as my evolution of my understanding happens, then there will be evolution of understanding the God and the world. So understanding oneself is the center of the understanding of everything. That is what Vedanta is trying to explain. The more and more you understand yourself better, then you can understand the world better and you can understand the God also better. So, understanding oneself is the key for every understanding or every aspect of understanding. So, this is one thing which we have to understand. The more and more you understand yourself better, and your understanding about the world and your understanding about the God also gets evolved or gets improved. And in the previous classes, we try to understand, or rather, Swami Vivekananda made a very clear point that how much ever you try to inquire, how much ever you try to bring philosophies, theories about the matter and its origin and its evolution and all, that cannot completely give the satisfactory reply. Now, then what is the way out? If you ask, that is what the crux, that is what the question which has been started from the Katha Upanishad. How much ever you bring a philosophy about the universe and its origin and about the material from which it is made up of, how much ever we get advanced theories, but still it cannot give the complete answer, complete solution. How Swami Vivekananda gives a beautiful analysis, we'll see. And he says that consciousness alone can be the solution for all type of questions and which can fulfill all our questions. And this is the basically the philosophers, the sages, the rishis in India way back thousands of years before they started studying, they got different theories about the origin of the universe, like atoms, Kanada has given. Then even Upanishads, if you see, the world is made up of 5 elements, world is made up of 3 elements, world is made up of 4 elements, and world has been just came from cosmic egg called Hiranyagarbha. It has come from the darkness. Nasadiya Sukta, we say that, which is from unmanifested to manifest. Like there are several explanations. After all that, the rishis were not convinced about all these things. Then, how much ever they advanced in science and technology and all, they understood there is no end to this and it cannot give the complete answer, perfect answer. Then, making an inquiry, then they went inside and they found out there is the center of the universe. This is the center of the all the solution to all the problems is what? That is the self or consciousness, which is my real nature. That's what all Upanishads and Vedanta is trying to tell. Now, Swami Vivekananda is telling very clearly, if you focus on the matter, how much ever it may be, you can't get the complete answer, the perfect answer. And he also says very clearly, very beautifully, we see this universe, and he is giving the reason now. Why? Because we are perceiving this empirical world as something as X or Y or Z. Fine, we are perceiving, we are understanding, and today with the modern science and technology, we have understood and we have explored many things. We have explored what is in the different planets, different galaxies. In even recently also they have found out there are 2 3 asteroids where there is water, it seems, and they have found out there is a possibility of water in the moon, and they're anticipating in some other planets, and they have gone deep into the ocean. All these things fine, and so many advancements in science and technology, but there is no end to it and you can't get the final answer. Why? Because whatever you are understanding, whatever you are perceiving, whatever the knowledge you are getting about the universe is what? From your 5 sense organs and the sixth one more organ called mind. According to the Vedanta, mind is also one more sense organ. So there is five sense organs of knowledge, and from mind you are getting the perception, the information of the universe. It is wonderful, thanks to nature, thanks to God, but at the same time it is limiting It is limiting my understanding about the universe or about the empirical universe, empirical world. For an example, there are X-rays. I cannot perceive X-rays from my naked eye. I need a special instrument from which I can perceive. That means whatever my five sense organs are giving me the knowledge about this empirical universe, it is very, very limited. That is the reason how much ever the best theory you can give about the universe, that cannot solve your all of your problems. Swami Vivekananda's first analysis about the his statement. And one more point he takes, like for an example, a cow is a philosopher. Being a philosopher, the cow is trying to examine this empirical universe which we are seeing. So cow has got sense organ, one or two, and it has its own perception about the universe. So based upon its understanding and the perception of the universe, he philosophizes. Say cat, for an example, one more. Cat becomes a philosopher. The cat is trying to understand the origin of the universe. So based on his perception of the universe, how much he can understand, he is philosophizing. And tomorrow, say for example, dog becomes, or a lion becomes a philosopher. He's trying to understand the origin of the universe. Then based on its sense organs, functions, limitations, it tries to perceive. And a human being, for an example, he doesn't have one sense organ called like eye. The size doesn't have, then he is trying to understand or he's trying to explain the universe, then definitely he cannot explain the colors of the universe. You see, there's a beautiful color. Oh, this ochre color or orange color. When I say, unfortunately, blind man cannot understand what is this orange color. For him, only white and black. So his perception of the universe will be less. And Swami Vivekananda puts one more argument, say for discussion's sake. God blesses the human beings to have one more extra sense organ. And the power of that sense organ is it can perceive the magnetic fields. Now there's a magnetic field, a magnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum is there in and around us. We are not able to perceive. And for discussion, say God has given that power. Our nature gave the power to the human beings. Then my perceiving of this universe. So, an example, I'm in this prayer hall now in the Vedanta society. I've got some idea about this hall. Suddenly, I got one more sense organ where I'm able to see that electromagnetic spectrum. If say, then what will be my perception of this hall, this building? It will be completely different. So Swamiji is giving all these examples and analysis to make us understand that whatever we are having the idea or perceptions about the universe and its components and its evolutes, that is very limited in understanding. So you have to be very clear. So don't think that because in those Swami Vivekananda's time, in the Western philosophy especially, there were a lot of discussions were happening. For an example, one of the school of philosophy, Western philosophy, which is called logical positivism, they went to the extent saying that metaphysics is meaningless. Why? Because metaphysics cannot be verified, metaphysics cannot be tested, metaphysics cannot be proved. For example, in science, we say atomic theory, it can be tested, it can be verified, it can be stated. So that's why science and scientific truths or scientific explanations are meaningful, and all the metaphysical statements are hypothetical in nature and they're meaningless, and they rejected the entire metaphysics, including religion and spirituality. So that's the time Swamiji is making these daring statements that we should understand the history behind this. And Swamiji is questioning now, oh my dear, you are saying that metaphysics is meaningless, and you say that whatever you perceive from your five sense organs, that is only true. Fine, then I am questioning the validity of your perception, which is based on the five sense organs of knowledge. It is wonderful. We are getting some idea, but it is only limiting the idea. So Vedanta is accepting the sense organs and its capacity and its power, and at the same time, it is questioning the validity and the limitation of the sense organs. So this is one of the fundamental difference between the empirical science and the Vedanta. The empirical science is going always that whatever I perceive from my sense organs and the mind, that alone I will accept as a true. Then Vedanta is saying, my dear, that is fine. In day to day, and I mean transactions, we need all these things. We accept it, but why do you define? Why do you limit the truth? Limit the understanding only with the five sense organs of knowledge and the mind. And simple example can be also someone says, oh, I tasted a sweet today, a dessert or a sweet. It was so delicious. It was so delicious when I say my body language and my facial expression will give some value, some give information for people, whoever is in front of me. And if the opposite person, whoever heard my statement, if he questions me, okay, you said sweet is delicious. Can you explain me? What is the deliciousness? What is the deliciousness? It is good. It is nice. These are all synonyms. Then can I explain really delicious? Then I'll say better you take this sweet and eat and you enjoy yourself and understand what is delicious. That's all we can say. So one simple mental experience or mental mind experience we cannot explain really. In fact, then how can we what do you say argue we know everything and this is what universe, this is what God, this is what self. So don't limit your understanding. That is what Vedanta is saying. Now, Swamiji also puts now one more interesting question now, that empirical science and the Vedanta, spiritual science called Vedanta, all of them are trying to know, to understand the truth, are the one material from which the whole universe is made up of. I am made up of the entire manifested, unmanifested universe, living beings, non living beings, everything is made up of one material. Is there any one material, if at all? If it is so, what is that material? Even if you see origin of the universe, as of now, the available theory from the science point of view, Big Bang theory. Bang, there was a bang for 13 million years before, say, there was a bang, there was a sound, and a tiny particles or whatever tiny things, which was the space got exploded, which had its own some whatever heat and all. Then it got exploded, then it started getting cool, then whatever you say particles came from them, that planets, from that moon and sun, everything has been emerged. That's what the science is saying. And apart from that, if you ask how this universe is made up of, they say it is made up of dark energy, dark matter, and normal matter. So, according to the empirical science, today the whole universe is made up of dark energy, dark matter, and normal matter, it seems. So, here they are trying to find out the truth. What is the truth? From which one material, or two or three material, the whole world is made up of. That's what the Vedanta is, the science is trying to know. Now, Vedanta is also trying to know the unity of the existence. Sometimes it is very spiritually, philosophically, we try to understand, and we miss this scientific analysis actually. So, the Vedanta is also trying to understand, trying to prove, trying to know the whole universe, including living beings, non living beings, all of us, all of them is made up of what? So the unity of the existence are by which the whole world is made up of. That's what we are trying to understand. So that the Vedanta says it as Sat or existence or consciousness. So the universe, the Vedanta has achieved the truth, and the science is now they're telling dark energy, dark matter, and normal matter. So they have gone to the extent of matter and energy. Now the Vedanta, the spiritual science, has gone one step ahead: matter, energy, and consciousness. So the fundamental reason or the aim, the goal of science and the empirical science and the Vedanta is same: to understand the truth of the universe, or the origin of the universe, or origin of the creation. The science is telling it is energy and matter, and the Vedanta is saying that consciousness, and that they use the word called Sat. Now, and Swami Vivekananda tells very clearly now why we have to take the consciousness at all. Why can't we take mind? Why can't we take matter? Why are you saying you should take the consciousness is the root source of the origin of the universe and origin of the beings? He makes a beautiful analysis. That is it. He gives an analysis like if you are going away from the center, you are getting away from the center, then there are a lot of variations, lot of diversities. And based on that variations and the diversities, we have got different explanations, different theories. So if you are in the periphery of the circle, then since there are a lot of variations, so you will get a lot of theories. And the more and more you go to the center of the circle, towards the radii or towards the radius, then there will be united. And what is that center point of the circle, which we know the dot or whatever? So there, the Vedanta says that the consciousness is the center of the universe from which the whole thing is made up of. Now, from consciousness, the energy has come. From the energy, the matter has come. That is what the Advaita Vedanta is telling, based on the Vedas and Upanishads. And again, here also one of the very beautiful fundamental difference between the science and the Vedanta is the science is telling the consciousness is the product of matter, which is very logical, unscientific, but though we have accepted in the science, consciousness is also a product of matter. And they give different explanations and examples. And whereas the Vedanta, the spiritual science tells the matter is the product of the consciousness. This is also one of the fundamental difference between science and the Vedanta. Science says, it's a very subtle point, interesting point also. The science is saying that the whole thing is made up of matter. So the energy is the condensed form of energy is matter. Today they are accepting, of course. But from matter, energy has come. From matter, consciousness has come. Matter is the root. That's what they're saying. And the Vedanta is saying that no, from consciousness, energy has come. From consciousness, matter has come. So the consciousness is the solution to all our problems. So what is that consciousness? That is called Sat, that is called Chit, that is called Ananda. Existence, consciousness, and bliss absolute. And then what about this universe, external universe, and how are you going to link with this consciousness if you ask? Whatever the manifested universe you see, that is one part of this consciousness, or one part of that self, one part of that existence. Then what are other parts if you ask? Yes, there's a matter, fine. Mind is there, thoughts are there, then ethics and morality is there, then there is a plasma, you can say. There are different types of energy plus consciousness. Which gives the complete picture or comprehensive picture, the whole picture of the creation. This is what the ancient sages they did. They try to see many things. For an example, you see, there is called one Upanishad among the 108 Upanishads, Garbho Upanishad. Garbho Upanishad is what? The Upanishad which explains the growth of the embryo for 9 months. From the day 1 to the 9 months, when the sperm goes into the ovary or whatever, from there 9 months, how the embryo keeps on improving, and after the 9 months, how the baby comes out. The entire growth of this embryo has been given. One side. The other side, for an example, Vimana Shastra, which different type of aeroplanes and what can be shaped and how the shape matters, what substance you can use, and what type of dress pilot should use, what food pilot should take. All these things has been explained. Now, Agastya Samhita, if you take from there, metallurgy, whatever we speak, or chemicals we speak, that all things we can see in this Agastya Samhita. So like this, so much we were advanced in science. And Shastras and Astras, that is called weapons, different types of weapons, which we call today nuclear weapons, that is called in the olden days Brahmastra. So all this in Shastras and Astras were also found. Then after finding so many things, our rishis, ancient sages, they understood there is no end to it. And how much ever you find, how much ever you try to know, there is no end to it. Then what is the root of all these things? Then they started looking inward. Avrutta chakshur amrutatvam icchan. The sages understood how much ever you go outside, there is no end to it, and there is no real solution. Then they went inside, they turned their attention inside, and they went inside and they found out there is the light, divinity, light, consciousness, conscience, whatever you say, that is the truth from which the whole world is made up of. So the unity is what? The self or consciousness. That is what we have understood in the Upanishads or in the Vedanta. Then afterwards, they started thinking about, then who am I? Okay, I am the self, I am the existence, I am the consciousness, I am the bliss. Okay, then what about me? Before my birth, where was I? Now, from birth to death, I am living in this empirical universe. So, before birth, where I was, after death, where I will be, whether will I exist or not. After death, if I will I exist or not, will I survive the death or not? If I survive, in what form I will survive? Then what happens? Will I take any new birth or whatever? This type of questions started haunting the Rishi's mind. So that is what we can see in the beautifully the philosophical answers has been given in the Katha Upanishad. And the opening of the Katha Upanishad very wonderful. There was a person by name called Vajashravas. Vajashravas. Vajashravas, he was a rich man. He wanted to go to heaven. But in those days, in these days, I think we do. Oh, someone wants to wish to go to heaven. If you feel, say, probably you may not feel very good about it, or you not interesting. But in those days, going to heaven is one of the goal, important goal for many beings were there. Either in the east or west, in Hinduism or in Islam or Christianity, in any religions, we can see this. So this same Vajashravas, a rich man, he was also desiring to go to heaven. Why? Because if you go to heaven, there are no problems. And it's a rich man's paradise, for an example, rich people's paradise. And you are living in your subtle body, not in your physical body. So no death and no disease and no problem, whatever we experience in this mundane world. So we can have a peaceful life and pleasurable life, or the best pleasurable life we can have. That is what the image or description we get about the heaven. But once we finish our punya karma, we have to come back. Just like when till you have got money in your debit card, you can spend, afterwards you cannot. So similarly, once you exhaust your fruits of action, you have to come back. Anyhow, so this Vajashravas was also interested to go to heaven. Now, if I have to go to heaven, what should I do? Then there was a sacrifice by name called Vishvajit sacrifice. So whoever performs the Vishvajit sacrifice sincerely, he or she can go to heaven. He or she attains heaven after the death. So what is the one of the primary condition of the Vishvajit sacrifice is whatever you have got, everything you should give up. So this is very important condition. Now we will think better we will not go to heaven and will give away all our things. But this, he wanted to go to heaven, so he was ready to give. But unfortunately, he was clever enough. He thinks he was clever enough. He gave all the unwanted things. Sometimes we are very charitable, Why? Oh, I want to give away so many clothes I've got. Why? Because I want to clear my house, and some have become old, and some have become. I use for a long time. That's why I become old. So I want to get rid of it. So in the name of charity, in the name of magnanimity, I'm saying that, oh, I want to do some charity. I'm giving the clothes. Sometimes people do that. So now he is also selling that, okay, I am doing Vishvajit sacrifice and I am giving away all my possessions. Whoever wants, you please come and take. So there was a announcement, and many people were very much mesmerized and happy because he's rich man. The whole village knew. So he and nearby village, many people, they went and approached. Okay, you are doing Vishvajit sacrifice, you are giving away. Please kindly give whatever you can so that we will take. But unfortunately, he never gave his best things. He gave all the bad things or worst things. Bad things means worst things, like the old cow, old ox, and old materials or clothes and etc. All these things were he started giving. Some of them were not happy. Some of them, at least whatever I have got, okay, because we are poor people, whatever we got, we will make use of it. Like that, they took and they started leaving. And while leaving, they were unhappy about it. They started criticizing. This fellow was supposed to give all the good everything. He's keeping good things for himself, and old things and unwanted things he's giving away. I don't think he will go to heaven. Instead of that, he will go to hell. So these discussions were happening. His son, this Vajrashava's son name was Nachiketa. He was 8 or 9 years boy, imagine. He and his friends were playing actually. In one of the fields they were playing. And the neighbor, when they finished the playing and they were about to go back to house, the villagers, they were going and they said, oh, this Vajrashavas, he is doing Vishwajit sacrifice and he's giving all the foolish things, waste things, and by this only he will go to hell. So they were talking and they were chatting each other and they were moving. The Nachiketa's friends overheard this, and they came and they started taunting this Nachiketa. What is this? Your father is doing such a foolish thing, and he's giving all the unwanted things. By this, he is going to attain hell, not the heaven. And they started mocking the Nachiketa. Now imagine, at the age of 7 or 8 years boy, what he can understand all this heaven and hell. At the most, he will scold or he will cry, he will go and he will probably demand his father, don't do it or whatever. But Nachiketa thought, my father is giving unwanted things or useless things and he may go to hell, that is fine. Now, as being a son, what I should do? What I should do? You should go and tell your father that you should not do this, whatever you are doing right, what you are doing, it is not right, please don't do that. So instead of that, he thought, how can I check this? Or how can I control this? How can I nullify the effect of my father's work, action? He said, Bahunamemi pratamo, Bahunamemi madhyamaha, kim sviddamasya kartavyam yanmayadhya karishyati. See the confidence of this Nachiketa. That's why Swami Vivekananda was very great, fond of this Nachiketa. He said, all our students should study the life of Nachiketa, Swami Vivekananda used to say. He said, I am the first among my school, my friends. Basically in my class or in my school, we can say. I am first. If not, at least I am second, not even third. So that means what? I am the best product. So if my father gives me as a dana, as a alms to someone, probably his effect, negative effect can be reduced. So as being a son, I can be of this help, he thought. He never went and questioned his father. He never went and criticized his father. And he never asked his friends to shut up their mouth or whatever. He never tried to substantiate his father's actions. Instead of that, he went to his father. And his father was busy in getting away from all the unwanted things. And he went and asked his father, Father, you are doing the Vishwajit sacrifice. Father said, yes. So, as a matter of fact, whatever your possession, you should give away all your possessions. Vajrashava said, yes. So, I, being your son, I am also your possession. I am also your wealth. So, whom you are going to give me? So, this can be a rude shock for any one of us. Probably. Even we don't think even like this. But Nachiketa thought. His father didn't like this. He said, oh, get away, my dear boy. I'm busy in some work or in this giving away things. Nachiketa was very strong in his mind. He is a strong-willed boy. And he said, Father, please tell me for whom you are going to give me. Second time he asked. Vajrasava, his father, got irritated. But he said, say, get away. Just he raised his voice and he said, get away. And third time he asked again, Father, I am your possession. Please tell me for whom you are giving. When we lose our tempers, we don't understand, we'll be in the sense what we say, we don't know. So his father also lost his temper. He lost his discrimination at that same time, the composed nature of his mind. He said, I am going to give you to the Lord of death called Yama. So I am going to give you to the Lord of death as for the Yama. He said. Then immediately, this Nachiketa, he was not terrified. He didn't get angry. He didn't get annoyed. At that time, he displays so much maturity, He gives a beautiful, after telling this, Vajrasava took back his words. He took back himself and said, what did I do? What did I tell? Now he has told he's not supposed to take back his words now. What he can do? He is also in confusion. At that critical juncture, the small boy of 7 or 8 years boy, he shown such a maturity. He said, Sasyamiva martyak pachide, sasyamiva jayate punha. He says, like the plants, they grow. They they grow, and for few days they are there, again they die out. So means many people, human beings, animals, plants, everything, they come and they die. So even you and me also, we have got date of birth, date of manufacture, and we have got date of expiry also. So this is the hard fact of life, square fact of life. So at this given point of time, we have to follow the truth. We have to follow the Satya. So here, what should the truth? You have said that you have given me to the Lord of Death, and I am going to, now I am going to Yamaloka. This is what. Then his father said, no, 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 by mistake I said, with angry I said, I never mean it, don't go and all. But he said, no, whatever you have said, you have to maintain your promise. That then only we are called to be human beings. Otherwise, what is the difference between, lower creatures and ourselves? No, we have to maintain the words. And he goes to Yamaloka. The story goes like this, and he goes to Yamaloka in the subtle body. And when he goes to Yamaloka, Yama, on some work, he had been to outside, it seems. Probably meant to gone to Kailas or Vaikunta to see Vishnu or Shiva or whatever. Basically, he had been outside. If you see, even when you go and knock the door, if the person doesn't open the door and welcome, you don't feel like going in any of the door. Similar in the Yamaloka, now we are supposed to go and meet the Yama. So Yama is not there. The watchman of the Yamaloka is there. Then they said, if you wish, you can come inside. But he said, no, I have come to meet Yama. When Yama comes, I will come. And Yama invites me, I will come. And he was sitting, this Brahmin boy, he was sitting in the doorsteps of the Yamaloka for 3 days and 3 nights. So after 3 days, Yama comes back. Then he sees a boy, he's coming, and he's not supposed to die that time. Then Yama was perplexed and asked, oh, why did you come here? What made you to come here? Then Nachiketa said, my father has given me to you, that's the reason I came. But he was such a person of the truth, who maintained his words, and he had got a beautiful, that spiritual aura in his face and all. Yama was really moved by his the small boy's guileless nature. And he said, look, we all in the Indian tradition, we all Atiti Devo Bhava. I mean, the guests are considered as manifestation of the gods. And because you are not, your time span got over and you came and you are our customer. No, because you are our guest. You are my guest. So guest, you are supposed to be welcomed nicely and you are supposed to be treated. But since I was not there for 3 days, without food and fuel, without food and water, you were there. So as a, repentance, I ask sorry, and to get away from this my sin. Sin means not the Bible sin. Here sin means Hinduism sin, that is, Indian sin, that is evil. So to get away from the evil effects, because you waited for me 3 days and nights, I am giving you 3 boons. You ask whatever you want. See, Yama, this Nachiketa, 7 or 8 years boy, how he is intelligent. First and foremost, he asked very clearly, when I go back, my father should recognize me. Because now he has died, he has left his physical body and he has come with the subtle body. And if he goes back, what they will think? Oh, Bhuta has come, ghost has come, spirit has come. People can imagine, people can think wrongly. So he is taking the first boon from the Yama. When I go back, my father should recognize me. Means my father, including the people who are living in the earth, they should recognize me. They should not think me as a ghost or whatever. So in one boon, he got one extra boon also, actually. Such intelligent boys of 6 or 7 years. Yama said, okay, fine. The second he asked, my father is desiring going to heaven. And that's why he wanted to do Vishwajit sacrifice. And he gave all the, not the good things sometimes. As a result, I know that there is some particular yajna, sacrifice. By performing that sacrifice, one can reach heaven, it seems. I have heard in Vedas. So can you teach me that? Then Yama was very much pleased to hear his devotion towards his father. And he said, yes. And he taught that sacrifice, how the altar should be built, and what are the oblations we should use, mantras we should use, and what sacrifices we should do, and how we should perform the yajna. And also, Yama was so much pleased by this personality of the Nachiketa, and he said, from today onwards, this sacrifice, which if you perform, which will take you to heaven, this will be named after you, saying that from that day onwards, it was named as Nachiketa Agni. And Yama was pleased, and he had a beautiful multi diamonds or pearl necklace. It was which is celestial necklace. And he took that and he said, Nachiketa, this is extra boon for you. This is not part of three boons, it is extra my presentation for you. He gave. Till now it was okay, everything was interesting. Okay. Third, he said, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye astiteke nayam astiti cheke. Etad vidya manushistastvayaham. Like that the sloka goes. The Nachiketa, 7 or 8 years boy, is asking the Yama, the Lord of Death, I want to know. I have got a strong desire to know. This is my third boon. What is that third boon? Some say that after the death, nothing survives. Or some say that nothing survives after the death. And some say something survives after the death. I want to know from you. So please explain me what is the truth. Because you are the Lord of death, and after the death of a being, organism, a human being especially. So what happens to the soul or to the self? You are the right person to know this. So I want to know from you. You are the best teacher for this. You tell. Now Yama was in problem now. Problem in the sense, he's a 7 or 8 years boy. He's asking basically the Brahma Gnana. He's asking basically the self-knowledge. By this question, he's asking, teach me the self-knowledge. What is the self? What is the consciousness he's asking? Now, Yama was perplexed. I mean, astonished to hear such type of question from a 7 or 8 years aged boy. And he wanted to examine him also. He said, my dear boy, this is the very subtle concept. Even the devatas, the celestial beings, demigods who are in the heaven, even they have not understood. They're very far behind from this understanding. Okay? And if they have not understood, then how you can understand? Better you ask some other boon. Nachiketa said, oh, even if devatas have not understood, that means it is so subtle and you are the right person to teach. Please teach me. I don't want anything else then. And now I have got more convinced about this. I want this only. Then Yama said, look, please leave me from this boon. As a token of, as a, what do you say, exchange of, I will give an exchange offer. What is the exchange offer? I will bless you. You will be the king, monarch of the entire earth, not one kingdom, not one country, not one continent, the entire earth planet, you will be the king. And how much ever you wish, 100 years, 500 years, 1000 years, 10,000 years you wish to live, you can live. I will give that boon. In one boon, all these are included. So long life I'm giving you. Long life with a monarch I'm giving you. And not only that, beautiful wife, children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and lot of property. How much ever, camels you want, elephants you want, chariots you want, and good dancers and good people. All the things I will give you. I will, if you, and whatever you want, I will give you. But please don't plead me, don't beg for this question. Now, this exchange offer is given by Yama. If the same question, if someone asks for us, what we will do? Yeah, I think better. Self-knowledge, we will think some other time. Now we will take this exchange offer. Because I've got millions of euros. And I can bring a big castle, I can have a jet fighter, and I can go wherever, I can enjoy my life. Afterwards, we'll see about the self-knowledge or about the Brahman or what survives after death and all. Probably, definitely, we will think like that. But he said very beautifully, Indriyanam jaryanti tejaha abhisarvam jivita valpapepa naiva mrityena tarpaniyo manushyo. Like that, he keeps on telling in a 2 or 3 slokas, he tells. He said, you have given all these things, but people, human beings, I have seen or I have understood that we are not convinced, we don't feel enough just by wealth. I've got 10,000 euros, that is not enough for me. I want 100,000. After 100,000, I want 200,000. After that, I want 500,000. So I will be keep on asking it. So there is no end to this. There's one point. And second thing is, okay, you have given all these things. I'm enjoying these pleasures of the world because through the money, and I've got women, and I've got, all the riches. By enjoying, what happens? My body and my sense organs, slowly it lose its vigor and power. Then what happens? I will boil down to eating only boiled vegetables. I can't eat spicy one. I can't eat what you say fried in the oil or whatever. When I become old, my body becomes old. My sense organs becomes old. I can't enjoy all these things. So then better I don't want any of these things. Why to have compromise with the best thing when I can have the best thing? Why to compromise with the small things? Oh Yama, please keep all these things with you only. If you want, if you can give, you give me my boon, whatever I have asked. Otherwise, I will be going back to my father. Then Yama was pleased by the Nachiketa's answer. So Nachiketa had a strong will and he was a fit student to study philosophy, to study Vedanta, or to get the self knowledge. Then Yama comes with the answer that, oh, you have passed the exam. So I was trying to examine you, how really eligible for you for the self knowledge, which is very subtle. Now I have found they were really eligible for the self knowledge, and he starts explaining about the self and about the Brahman or the consciousness. And when he heard that, he experienced that self, and as a realized person, completely when he understood who he is, who I am, or who he is, and afterwards he goes back to the mundane world and he continues his life. So what is the answer which was given by Yama to the Nachiketa's question is the second part of this lecture of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. In the next week, we shall try to read and understand. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.